This video brought to you by Surfshark VPN.
Uploading.
There is no real ritual after all.
Real is such a relative term. Most of the challenges in life are the ones we create for ourselves.
It has often been the case that many believe I hate Captain Catherine Janeway, that it's my opinion that she is the worst captain in all of Trek and that Voyager was a horrible series. This is an egregious misunderstanding of my actual take. When Janeway is written well, she's one of the top tier captains, easily top 3, if not top 2. The problem is, I don't believe that she's written all that well the majority of the time. That said, one of the most consistent good writings for her is, well, at least in my opinion, her atheism. Let's just get into it.
Of course, there's always the possibility that the ancestral spirits really do control what happens in the shrine.
To each his own, Commander. But I imagine if we scratched deep enough, we'd find a scientific basis for most religious doctrines.
It's important to remember that while I break down my thoughts on Captain Janeway and why she is most likely the best atheist in the Trek universe, that these are all subjective opinions on what an atheist should be, to me at least. While I think I have a good basis for what I believe, it is just my point of view. If you do disagree, I'd love to hear why. But refocusing on the topic at hand, I have to admit that I think Janeway is the atheist we should all strive for. While there are multiple episodes that I can point to that delve into her lack of a belief and how she interacts with the faithful, the most notable and recognizable one is that of Voyager's Sacred Ground. For those who haven't seen Sacred Ground, the quick synopsis of it is that Kes is hurt and may very likely die. Janeway goes down to the planet and engages in several religious rituals in an attempt to discern some type of method or cure that will save the woman's life.
They abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Now you are asking me to sabotage that achievement, to send them back into the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? No!
When I broke down the interactions with Picard, something that really frustrated me is that he doesn't only not believe, but abhors religion and those who do believe. He doesn't see the value that religion can provide. A utility that religion can have can range from simple community building to actual positive, practical impacts on the lives of the community. Janeway doesn't only recognize this advantage, but she seems to delight in it for others, at least in some ways. She sees how being religious is a positive thing to some and can at least be appreciated for what it is. It can be a boon for communities, which is ironic because the captain of the Federation flagship, who almost became an archaeologist, doesn't get the nuance of cultural belief, but the purely focused scientist does. But anyway, I'll stop comparing Picard to Janeway, for now. What is amazing about Janeway is that she is a Starfleet officer and yet can still have a realistic view on the religious. She isn't conceited, doesn't believe that religion is stupid, she is just smart enough to recognize the science behind it. It is her belief that most everything that appears to be a miracle, or that is unexplained, has an explanation, one based in science. Science hasn't ever failed her, and so that is what she relies on.
Even when her science fails right before her eyes, she still has full confidence in it. Now there's a leap of faith.
Unconditional trust? Now that's promising.
Surfshark is a premier VPN that supports single dads trying to keep his daughters fed and keeps your online information and identity safe. With over 3,200 servers in 65 countries, you can go virtually anywhere you want with peace of mind knowing that no matter where you are or what network you are connected to, you're safe. Just imagine that you are out on the countryside of British-controlled France and laying around enjoying the beautiful vistas. You're confident in the fact that your information is being protected no matter where you are. But oh no, you wanted to watch something on Netflix and you find out that 1984 is no longer a book you read in grammar school, but real life. Luckily, as a free-loving person who is beautiful and gets everything they want in life, you have Surfshark. Hit only a couple of buttons and you are enjoying the free world's entertainment. Not only that, but I personally went to Surfshark's HQ. Somehow. Okay, maybe it was only in my mind, but I convinced them to give not 3 months this time, but 4 months. And you're still getting 83% off. This is an amazing deal that is a limited time offer. If you really enjoy this channel and you want to see it continue, then you have to click in the description below or in the comments. Use code LORE and get 83% off, plus 4 months. 4. You'll be getting the best VPN money can buy. Remember, helping the sponsors helps the channel.
There's a difference between respecting the spiritual beliefs of other cultures and embracing them myself.
Unlike Picard, when she encounters people of faith, she doesn't look at them as believing in something that is of the Dark Ages, or think that they are stuck in some form of mythology that blinds them to reason. She sees how it's a different explanation of the events that occur in their life. She doesn't surmise that some have been thrust back into a time when they discovered the will, or again that they've given up wholesale science. She just sees that their perceptions of the universe is simply different. And given everything that she has been through, all the mysteries that she's encountered, who is to say that, at least in the Trek universe, there isn't something actually there that can't be perceived? I will fully admit that depending on how far her tolerance is, this could end up being a problem. After all, religious ideology and thought can negatively influence other people or their children, and that would become an issue. But if it's just their opinions on how certain affairs happen in their own lives, then she's content to live and let live. From everything I've seen, it appears that she doesn't go so far to let others suffer due to one's religion.
Are you saying that you simply fulfilled my expectations?
You'd have settled for nothing else.
Additionally, what one might find somewhat confusing is that I love Janeway being a flawed atheist in this episode. She is a non-believer that somewhat gets it wrong. In Sacred Ground, the captain approaches a religious experience she is about to undertake with certain expectations on what is required so that she can become a part of the religious sect to save Kes. While she states that she is open to what is about to be entailed, ultimately she expects it to be grueling and arduous. She expects a physical and mental toll, and that's not what occurs. While I'll admit this only seems logical since doing these tasks will cause chemical changes in her body, as well as the stress will cause changes in her brain chemistry, and this will impact how she thinks and makes her closer to the group, her beliefs in what is about to happen could be wrong. She states in the episode that she's open-minded, but she's obviously not. She just thinks it's going to be like what she's observed in the past. And yeah, I know she claims that she doesn't, but we can clearly tell based on what she does in the episode that that's what she truly believes.
You've come back to seek the spirits.
I don't know what I'm seeking.
Then I believe you are ready to begin.
Ultimately, she has to fail for her mind to be really opened. Well, maybe she failed. We'll get back to that in a second. She endures physically and mentally taxing tests, believing that it is the only way to speak to the spirits to save Kes. Because of her bias, she goes through absolute hell and is no closer to saving her friend, at least from what the religious say. However, the reason why this failing doesn't bother me is that she's open to the idea of being wrong. She tries to be a believer her way, and she fails. So finally, she lets her guard down and tries it their way. And because of that, her mind is opened to possibilities that she had not yet explored. And due to this leap of faith, she is able to save Kes.
Captain, if there's something about my analysis you disagree with...
It's a perfectly sound explanation, Doctor. Very scientific.
The episode ends with her appearing to have either changed her mind or possibly having had a religious experience. After the doctor gives a perfectly legitimate scientific explanation, well, for Trek at least, she leaves sickbay confused on what she should trust and what she should believe. On a separate note that isn't necessarily related, I do really like that the episode basically justifies her original stance and how she felt, even if she doesn't believe that it does. It still has in her mind questioning everything that she once thought. But when you look at it, there was a scientific explanation for this religious experience. Let's discuss the tests of faith that she went through for a moment. Janeway, as I've stated a dozen times, endured grueling trials and was told she went through them because she chose to. That her guide was simply there, letting her go through the motions. Now, it's important to remember that they could have been lying, and that she did have to go through this journey after all. In fact, the doctor says as much. The chemical changes in her body allowed her to save Kes. In the end, everything she went through allowed her to walk through a dangerous field that should have killed both her and Kes. And she didn't only survive it, but Kes was restored. She was cured. Once she walked through that portal, Science validated all of her actions and explained what truly happened. Everything she went through to her may have felt like a religious experience, but it honestly was a scientific one. But again, for her, it wasn't. She may have become somewhat faithful after that. We see as much in the episode because she had the ultimate faith. I'm just curious if she knew that that faith was still in science. Because if it was, it seems that it was well placed. But all of these are my opinions. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, and guys, in the end, all of our lives are a story. Make yours a good one.